Spyro, A Realm Beyond was just announced at the Xbox Game Showcase on June 7th, 2026. It marks the first original entry in the series since 2008 and is being developed by Toys for Bob, the now independent studio behind the 2018 Reignited trilogy, Crash 4, It's About Time, Crash Team Rumble, and others. And yeah, it's all pretty surreal. We've got a new teenage Spyro with what looks like unrestricted flying and a spring 2027 release window. I keep on having to stop myself from calling it A Realm Reborn, like Final Fantasy XIV. But let's go ahead and take a look at the title. They very deliberately did not use a number 4, like they did in Crash. And I think that's telling of a few things. Firstly, while there is a lot of stuff that indicate this is a callback to the original trilogy, there's a lot of stuff that indicate that it's not. This is Toys for Bob's first time working with Spyro, where they're not just trying to trace somebody else's work. I would imagine a lot of ideas bubbled up during and after the development of Reignited, and once they got the green light, they created this Realm Beyond for us to go and see them. And while I'm sure that the owners of the IP, Activision/Microsoft, they have some restraints on what they can and can't do with Spyro, in the grand scheme of everything that they own, I can't imagine that there's too many. Also, regarding the number 4, not as many people played Spyro compared to Crash. From a marketing perspective, you don't want to alienate new people with a big old number 4 in your title. Now, in Crash's case and Sonic's case, it can have a really positive effect in terms of sales. Spyro is one of those legacy IP where it's sorta on the fence of whether this would help it or not. There is something nice about starting fresh after all the PlayStation 2, Skylanders, and Elijah Wood nonsense.
I just felt like I had to hit it. And when I did, the power of 1,000 suns surged through my body.
We know those games aren't Spyro 1, 2, 3, but the target audience of the kid who plays Mario on his dad's Switch does not. So the trailer itself, it's only about a minute. It opens with a storm forming on what looks like Sheila's Alp. We get to see the right arm and staff of what must be the new villain, and a sparksless teenage-looking Spyro running through a desert that looks reminiscent of dry canyon/desert ruins with gems in the background. He takes off in full flight, sees the storm that was alluded to earlier, and a big Sauron Lord of the Rings tower. Boom, we get the logo, and then 8 seconds of gameplay. Bold. It's big, it's different, there's a target reticle. It sure is saying a lot. And if anything, I think Toys for Bob is showing a lot of confidence putting this in the announcement trailer. They certainly could have showed Spyro running around collecting gems and a lot of people would be happy. The reason I think they didn't do that is because this game does share an art style with Reignited, which was a point at which a lot of people jumped on Spyro initially, and you need to give those people a reason to jump in again. And that reason seems to be, as described by Toys for Bob, not gliding, not a limited set of flight levels, true dragon flight. Which, you know, even to fans of the original trilogy, hasn't that always been a requested feature? I'm the bazillionth person to say this. Wouldn't it be cool if Spyro could fly in the normal levels like he does in these speedway levels? But be careful what you wish for, right? I think the last phrase a lot of people want to hear in regards to Spyro is open world. There really was something special and cozy about all these different worlds Spyro gets to visit in the PS1 games. They were big enough to evoke a sense of exploration, but small enough to where you could memorize the entire map in your head, like you would the layout of a house. Once you start melding levels together, you're beginning to disconnect from what made the PS1 trilogy great. And I also want to touch on what the actual gameplay itself looks like. This is not speedway flying, it looks much more dynamic. You can see how Spyro gets a vertical boost here from this pyre after he lights it from like 50 feet away. Movement could be really, really cool. I just hope it's not all flying. I'm just gonna say it, this game is gonna feel really different to me if I am not holding square to charge for at least like 70% of it. Even though they showed just the tiniest nut hair of gameplay, I still feel like it's on the verge of not feeling like Spyro. You know what would really change that though, is the return of a certain man by the name of Stuart Copeland.
They pay me for this.
At this time, it has not been confirmed whether he'll come back or not to do the soundtrack. Tom Kenny has been confirmed to be the voice of Spyro. You can actually hear him in the trailer. We also have yet to see any secondary characters. Is this going to be a true start from scratch? Like, Sparks isn't even here. We don't have an answer yet. We don't have enough information. But if I could be so bold as to make some predictions, I think it's a fairly safe bet that we're going to pick up after Year of the Dragon. The Spyro 2 squad is coming back. The Spyro 3 extra characters, maybe we'll get like one scene of them, but I think they're going to be mostly pushed off to the side.
So we were introducing the penguin and the monkey with a laser, I think, and I can't remember what their names were.
I'm so excited to see what bankrupt Moneybags looks like. Maybe he's turned over a new leaf after we took all his money in 3. Or he's out after Spyro for revenge. I don't know. It could be an interesting little thread, though. Do we see any villains return? No. They already brought Ripto back, and I think Nasty Nork, and the Sorceress came back in her own game. I'd like to keep with the PS1 tradition and have one new villain per game. And who is this new villain? Did he kill Spyro's parents? Is that why he's got a Spyro horn on his staff? And then there's price. What is it gonna cost? 40 bucks. 40 bucks, I think. Crash 4 was $60 at release, later moved to $40 MSRP when it moved to the PS5 port. I just don't see the Spyro brand having the power to command $60 like the Crash brand can. If there's one prediction / hope I can make, though, is that I really hope we get portals and not just one big open world. And I don't want to sound so crotchety and like I don't want things to change. At the end of the day, there is no other developer that should be doing Spyro 4. If Toys for Bob came up with this new direction, I'm down to follow him. I just hope it's not later revealed that this open world Spyro was Microsoft's direct order. Unlikely, being that they're not under them anymore, they're just licensing it to them. But what does the community think? Is this actually going to be a sequel to Spyro Season of Ice? Is this going to be a prequel? Should I actually play all those PS2 Spyro games in case this one follows up on them? It's kind of making me want to. Right now, I'm optimistic, I'm excited to see what happens, excited to see the next trailer. Like I said, it is almost purely because this is Toys for Bob. Could it be awful? I don't think so. Could it be mediocre? Maybe. Could it be fantastic? Absolutely. I think what I'm worried the most about is it not being Spyro. The worst thing that could happen is it has a case of Sonic Boom. That is a case where you have a show or a game or whatever, and it's pretty decent, but it lacks identity. You could take a show like Sonic Boom and you could replace all those characters with non-Sonic characters and it still functions. Same thing with the Sonic Boom game. It kind of just plays like your mid-2000s 3D platformer, right? Where like Sonic 06, it's a horrible game, much like the Sonic Boom game, but it's still very Sonic, right? You go fast, there isn't a punch button, and everybody's saying long time no see. I am all for Spyro innovating, but Spyro A Realm Beyond needs to have some pillars firmly in place of what makes Spyro Spyro, and collecting, exploration, and pocket dimension portals. That's all I want. That's all I want. This will be the first time I'm like legitimately returning to the Purple Boy after I played the Enter the Dragonfly demo disc that shipped with the PlayStation Underground magazine in like, 2001 or 2. But I'm willing to come back, and please don't make me regret that. Spyro's a very dear friend. Please don't hurt him. Be kind to him. I appreciate you watching. Please hit all those buttons below. I have a Discord server. I also have a bunch of reviews and analyses over Spyro, Crash, Kingdom Hearts. If you like that stuff, please subscribe and watch those. But with that, tip your waitstaff, and I will see you in the next one.